be interesting to know how you guys go about billing by time or by project.
I think it would depend a lot on the client and on the work. I mean, okay, so if it's something that you've done 100 times and it's easy to quantify and delineate, then counts for a lot. But if it's something where you're working with someone in a more exploratory way, then it has to be more open-ended. But either way, it can be both. So sorry, that's like a real non-answer.
Cool.
I would say always go on project, because the main point why we're learning no code, we're using no code, is to use less time to do what we're supposed to do for our clients and have more time to spend on quality things. And so you're still providing a service. They don't need to know how long it takes you to do that. You're just giving them what they need. And so that's our superpower.
That's true. And then for maintenance, you would also make it like a retainer project thing, because for me, it's like billing by time, because I build it, and then, some stuff breaks or something happens. I can also bill this time, right? Repairing it. And it feels very fair to me. Whereas I can clearly see the advantage of billing by project. The customer knows what he's paying or she. Also, for me, I'm being punished for being fast, which is like, you don't want to have this, right?
If you look at lawyers charge by time, but they definitely aren't punished for being fast. They're going to charge you a lot, even if they're just looking at something for an hour.
But they're definitely not the most favorite person out there. You're not going, woohoo, I can deal with a lawyer. I'd rather have the client go, woohoo, I can deal with Core, than going. So I do not want to take too much from their practices and my personally.
Well, it can be any sort of professional. I mean, we're working with a SOC 2 compliance guy. He charges like £1,000 a day or something.
I haven't got a strong opinion on this. I can sort of understand both sides of the matter, but I'm curious, like delineating between charging by project and charging by value, because I know that that's especially in the no-code space as well. And I agree, Claudia. Like I think no-code and the tools that we use doesn't have to be sort of like the selling point in itself. Like that's the secret sauce, I think, to our development process. But yeah, curious if anyone else also has ideas on project versus like billing on value.
So there's two things for me that comes to mind. The one is with the way I make a decision currently around whether I do time or project is based on risk and certainty. If risk or uncertainty is very big, I move towards time. And if risk and certainty is risk is low or certainty is high, I try and push the lever to the project side. Like I've come to notice that when I do time-based, I'm always the one in trouble. Even though the client gave me the ambiguous task, or like we knew there was risk, I get into trouble no matter what the bill is in the end. We've started doing to hopefully one day make it so that always there is a stopgap, right? So yes, I'm going to bill you hourly, but we're gonna do a check-in after 5 hours, or when do you want a kind of a limit to make sure that there is a top and stop, so that it's clear around the expectation that you need to spend on it. How do you determine the price for the project? One way is to look at what you think the hours would be that'll take that in there. The better way I found is to get better at having the conversation with the client as to what is it worth for them. I realized that I only needed to be right on average. So you have to be really accurate at your project estimations so that you kind of make more money. What I realized is I only need to do 1 or 2 really good projects to disqualify all of the projects where I actually estimated it incorrectly. And I had to do that on average to make project-based billing better for me than hourly. There's a learning curve, and I actually found myself getting more and more better and better at having the value conversation and planning projects. In the beginning, I was really bad at it, and then you kind of, if you're not trying it, you won't get better at it.
We use time as the basis for all of our projects, but we do charge by project. So say we forecast that it's going to take it roughly 10 days of our time. We'd kind of do the maths and show the client that that's that's how much it's going to cost. It's going to cost your day rate times that amount of days. At the point at which it's going to go over that time, if and when it does, then it's an open conversation with the client as to whether they will pay for a change request if it's going to be more work than that, or we will take the hit if it's our doing, if it took us longer than we thought it would take us to do what we said we would do. But the value thing, I think, is a good discussion point.
I think the thing that we just maybe as a parting thing is that which shouldn't forget, if there are enough times where the client feels like they're paying more than the value that they're getting, regardless of whatever billing method you use, they'll stop using you or find somebody else.